Hello, you stranger, clicking on this bizarre video of man walking the wilderness in Norway, talking about prog music and his own musical project, solo project called Ozul. You must be a weird creature that clicks on these kinds of videos, but thank you for being here. Well, after the first installment of this Provenance Trails, episode 0, the manifesto. So here we are on the hike number 2 of this contrarian content creating for an artist. Going against the grain of 30-second snippets in the studio. And if you want to know a little bit more about the whole manifesto, as I said in the beginning, just go and check the first episode in the channel of this series or the playlist. As I said in the first episode, a little bit of the concept of this series is that I have planned some kind of broad theme for each hike, and I've told the new kid in town, artificial intelligence. I've said, okay, this is the concept of the Provenance Trails, and this is what I want to do, and this is the theme. So I asked the AI to list me at least 10 subjects or questions that you want me to talk about during this trail. I copy it, paste it, send it to myself. Here it is. Let's see. First question. Why did I make Provenance, or why Ozul? Ozul for that matter. Yeah, okay. Oh, let's see. Where can I start? Well, Provenance is the first album of Ozul, this musical project, and that's why this is called the Provenance Trails. Let's start with Ozul. Well, I showed interest in music very early in life, and I was allowed to start taking musical lessons when I was 6 or 7, playing the clarinet with a teacher at my hometown in Costa Rica. And it did seem that I did not suck that much, because I stayed with him 3 years, and then I later started at the capital city in Costa Rica and joined the youth program for the National Orchestra. Believe it or not, Costa Rica has a well-renowned and very professional national orchestra that now must be more than 50 years old. So yeah, check it out. Costa Rica's National Symphonic Orchestra. I actually did play a little bit when I was 14, 15. A little Christmas season with the National Orchestra, still being quite young and being quite overwhelmed by all the professional adult musicians there. But anyway, so music, it's been always part of my life during teenage years. I guess clarinet was not metal enough, and I was attracted to kind of another kind of music. Remember Guns N' Roses and Metallica, of course. And then I met my best friend, who was at that time also interested in that type of music, and he wanted to be a drummer, and I thought, okay, why not? I can be a bass player and join him. So that started kind of my musical journey about 13, 14. Throughout all the years, I had played in bands and made covers, all that stuff. Oh, look at this. I have to check this out. Sorry for the digression, but that's just me. These are some ruins here in Bergen, spanning from, as I understand, Second World War. Let me climb up here a little bit so you can see it. As I understand, this is from the Second World War, and I understand, I might be wrong, don't crucify me for this, but This was built by the Germans, I think, actually, to place, I think, I was told that this was a cannon overviewing the fjord. And because this is kind of very strategical place in Bergen, you have one of the fjords that are leading to the city. Let's see if you can see. These are interesting historical ruins of a dark time in history. Yeah, trees have grown up here, so you can see a little bit of the fjord. Yeah, so I've played in bands, fond of heavy music, as I told you before, also quite early. And due to some of the records that my father had, I grew up kind of an interest in this strange music from Pink Floyd in the metal years, One of These Days and Echoes. And later on discovered Dream Theater, a little later teenage years, and was completely hooked. But I then later on to studying film, and I was kind of tired of the whole classical music stuff, and I didn't really find somebody who could gel with the interest that I have. So I kind of abandoned music for several years to pursue the film career, and I moved on to being an editor for fiction and documentaries, and later on being a director. Check another ruin. I moved on to directing documentary series for Norwegian television. And that was nice for several years, but you know, I guess midlife crisis strikes at some point, and there was so much music that was so inspiring around, and slowly but surely I kind of picked up the guitar again. I had a guitar, I had a bass from before, starting kind of taking a look again at recording techniques and things that I had forgotten. And one day I just struck a chord and thought this can be a song. Started recording it, and I didn't know what it was going to be, but that was pretty much the start of Ozul. It didn't sound all that bad. I mean, it started dawning on me there. I know there are lots of projects of people doing their home recordings, and that has become kind of the norm, but I didn't ever thought that was something that I could pull off. So I started trying, and it wasn't perfect, but it wasn't all that bad. I thought, at least. I still think it's not that bad. I don't know what you think. Have you listened to the record? Well, let me know in the comments, as you always have to say in these videos, right? But after a while I had like, I don't know, 10, 12 demos. And there was kind of a difficult period in my life in which I needed the last documentary I've made. I'm going to talk about that later in another hike, but the last documentary I made that demanded a lot from me. And in that period I kind of needed some kind of outlet for thoughts and observations, I guess, and some different creative outlets. So I thought, let's give out the music, let's release it, see what happens. And that was the start of Provenance, really. Really just an experiment for me to see if I could pull that off. Let's see, next question. Long answer, right? Sorry, that's me. I answer long. But this is slow TV, right? Let's see, is this still recording? Yeah. What is the true meaning? My AI robot friend asked me. What is the true meaning behind the name Provenance? Provenance means origin, really. And it took me a while to find the name for the first record, from Ozul's first record, Provenance. And when I found, I of course thought of Genesis, but that would be an obvious mistake, given the lore and the meaning of that name in the progressive rock scene. But let's see, we're almost at the top now. You can see the antenna we saw down. But I was looking to a name that would signify the same as Genesis without the obvious reference to the known band. So I was looking at, okay, what are other words for origins or beginnings? Look at this view. Isn't that great? Isn't that something? Here's your little mindfulness moment. Which is kind of a part of the project of this Provenance Trails, by the way. I know the digression, sorry. But mindfulness is also an important part of me and this project. And I want this to be a little bit of a mindfulness exercise, just going on a hike. Anyways, Genesis. Genesis is the start of the Bible, starting book of the Bible, and meaning exactly that origin. So I found that word provenance, and I thought, okay, that has kind of I like the ring of that word, and the meaning origin. I thought it was fitting for the first album of this experiment. I never knew what it was going to go, if I would even want to continue making music or not. But I thought regardless if I choose to completely change the direction of the music, which I most likely will do here and there, even if I change dramatically the musical genre or whatever, that album is going to always be some kind of starting point. So I thought it was fitting. So that's the reason for the Provenance name. All right, let's see. The story behind the flower on the album cover. Yeah, Provenance has a little flower. I don't know what's the name in English of that flower. I mean, if you know the name in English, please write it down on the comments. In Norwegian, we call that flower snøklokke, which I would translate as snow bell. But I don't know if that makes sense in English. Anyway, that's the name of the flower. And I remember I was just hiking, and the thing about that flower is that is the first flower that comes often, even through the snow, when everything is dead still, or most things are dead still after winter. The fact that little flower comes through the snow, and being so small, it's really a tiny flower, and kind of is so resilient, being so small and so beautiful in that small white color. Kind of made it a strong symbol for me. Tiny flower, but the resilience and the fact that it's the first one coming out made it a powerful symbol for me, for that kind of resilience mid in the throes of darkness, coldness, or inhospitable context, which I guess is something that pretty much everyone can relate to in their own lives, feeling a little bit like that, being like in those situations where everything is bleak and seems like there's not much point to anything, but hey, you can find those symbols to kind of give you some inspiration or food for thought, or whatever you want to call it. How I recorded my debut album in my home studio. There is no home studio to speak of, really. It's kind of a home studio now, but at the moment I was living at another house, and what I had was a laptop, another interface, cable, guitar, and I was placed under a stairway at home, crammed into a corner. Didn't have sound monitors. Just working with the headphones I had at the moment. You have another view, another part of Bergen. Parenthesis, that mountain there, that is called Lyderhorn, the witch mountain. The legend has it, I don't know if it's legend, some people say it's true that in old days witches used to gather there to do whatever witches do. Yeah, so I did record the record there under a stairway. Locked myself in the bathroom where I had taken all the mattresses that I had at my disposal to kind of deaden the room, and there I recorded the vocals to my partner's delight of having this angelic voice screaming at the top of his lungs sometimes. Yeah, so that was it. Was recorded, mastered in the box. A lesson from my first album. What did I learn? Well, I did learn a huge amount of things. A lot of information on how to do things. I had never mixed anything. I guess you can hear it. I guess I have gotten some reviews about the second album. One of the things that people commented is that the second album had a more modern sound or a better sound, whatever that is. And I think that that's true, because also by the second album I had learned those lessons about some more, I don't know if advanced, but more several ways in which controlling the sound and making sure that some things were in order with the mix that perhaps are not that sophisticated, I guess. In the sound of the first album is a bit more earthy, groundy, a little bit more, yeah, perhaps a bit more muddy, a bit more retro sounding, but that's the sound of the record. That's the sound of Provenance. That's the sound of the origins. And by the way, just by naming the record that, Provenance, kind of made me feel like it took a little bit of the pressure off myself, because the origins are what the origins are. Whatever, it's like you cannot fault. I thought a little bit like this. This is how my strange brain works. I thought, if this is the origins, it is like you would never fault a newborn for screaming and being obnoxious. It is what it is. And I thought a little bit about the same when I was mixing and mastering and recording Provenance. It is what it is. And that was perhaps the biggest lesson. It's like, it's better to have it done than to have it perfect, you know? It was as perfect as I could have it then and there, with who I was and the knowledge I had. And at some point, you have to let it go, man. You have to let it go, let it go. There you have a prog smasher right there. Let's see, next question. Am I boring you? Most likely. Anyway, let me know in the comments. Do you have okay, the AI overlord is asking, the surprising review, is there? No. Is there some review that surprised you, that changed how I saw your own music? The biggest surprise was that someone would review the music at all. I was, and I'm still painfully aware of the amount of music being released, and I gave up Provenance, sent to my own ability promo links to people I found online that had reviewed some music, and the first surprise was that people did review the record, and was tongue twister, overwhelmingly well received. Very good reviews, but I think yes, there is there is one review that I was not expecting. There's this nice gentleman who runs a blog or a website. I don't know, how would you call it? Northern Music Central, I think it's called. And he's an English gentleman who specializes in writing reviews about Norwegian music, many different genres. I saw that he had reviewed this local artist. Can't remember the artist's name, but I saw, okay, he has reviewed somebody from my own town, and I sent him. It was the official video. By that time, I had made the official video for Lona Horgi. I'd sent them. But by that time, I had made the official music video about that track, Lona Horgi, which is about this beautiful mountain that is about 2 hours here from Bergen, which I have hiked a couple of times. It's a tough hike, but that track deals with pretty much actually all this stuff of going to the mountains to sort out your own thoughts, deal with psychological pain, try to deal with the curveballs that life throws at you. And for me, hiking, it's central for that. So Lona Horgi deals with about that. But the music video was out, and I sent it to this gentleman from Northern Music Central. And to my surprise, he wrote quite an extensive review. I see if I can link it on the description of the video, so you can read it if you wish. But there's one line in that review. He wrote, "This is not a song. This is 6.5 minutes of art." And boy, that still blows my mind today. I'm a nobody. Still am. Will be. The rest of my life, nobody. Small artist, but you know that somebody had taken the time, listen to the song, bother to watch the whole video, and give an analysis of not only the song but the aesthetics of the video. And it's like in that review, it really the only review that kind of had incorporated all the elements that Ozul is for me, because as I told you, I am doing as well the graphic work, since I'm a filmmaker and have worked both as a filmmaker, graphic designer, video editor, blah blah blah. So there is no designer house or outsourcing music videos or having a famous director. No, the video for Lona Horgi and Kafka World and Man on the Shore from the latest record, I have done those myself. So the thing about that review from Lona Horgi is that it's the only review that really had kind of incorporated all the elements that Ozul is for me. So to this day, it's a lovely review. There are others, but that's the one that stands for me. Okay, final question. The themes of Provenance and where they came from. Oh, well, that one is easy. At that point, Provenance is not a concept album per se. It's more like songs that kind of share some musical sound and musical genre, I guess. But the themes there were like the things that had happened in a way to that point in my life, and things that were emotionally salient. There were things about, daily life, living in a relationship, the struggles of living in a relationship, some past traumas about having to deal with certain kinds of people, and trying to describe the behavior that made it hard to be in that space. And there are even well, there's one element that is still rather salient, perhaps not in the lyrics at the moment, but in the writing of the music. The Norwegian landscape, as I also told you in the episode 0 of this series, is quite important. This landscape is kind of my co-producer. So a track like Winds of Ruins from the Provenance album are pretty much anchored in the description of the Norwegian coast, which can be quite unforgiving, wind-blown, barren, very beautiful as well. But that, for example, that track is pretty much about blending the Norwegian landscape with this kind of existential dread that can be overpowering for me, especially at nights when you ponder the insignificance of your own existence, and the fact that you gotta go, man. You gotta go sometime, and that dread I try to depict through that song, Winds of Ruin. Check it out. So I am now down. I am now down from the mountain with you, who miraculously have watched and listened all these ramblings. Thank you. And as the professionals say, please subscribe to my own video. If you do that before 2 weeks, I promise you will have a new house, and let me help reach 2 more subscribers to next week, and then you will have a perfect ass forever. So yeah, go do that. And if you have some comments or thoughts, if there was anything of this that you think it was interesting or not interesting, or you have your own opinion or observations, just leave something in the comments. Look, this is the end. Not my end, but the end of the trail before I head back to tend of my household duties. Isn't this great?